Hello, this is Catherine at I Know I Need to Stop Talking. Hello, lovelies. How are we doing? It's the 1st of May. I mean, how the fuck is it the 1st of May? Is it just me? Where is the year going? And I know I say this every year and it's definitely a sign of getting old, but even my kids have been going, how's it May? Jamie's like, I've practically finished another year of school. He's in complete panic mode. He's like, practically finished this year. I finished year 8, then it's year 9, then it's my GCSEs, then I finished school, then I've got to get a job. I'm like, okay, whoa, calm down. Let's one step at a time. But he's not wrong. It is going ridiculously quickly. And it's, of course, it's a bank holiday weekend, which is always a treat because it means come next week, nobody's going to have a fucking clue what day the pins go out. I mean, I would think by nearly 40, I would have some kind of strategy better than basically getting up early under the cover of darkness to see which of my neighbours has put the bin out and also which bin it is as well. That remains my strategy. But I hope you're doing something lovely with your bank holiday weekends. It's also our cats, our 2 rescue kittens. So we have 3 cats, Sandwich, the oldest, and the 2 littler ones, ASAP and Brexit, love a comedy name, who we rescued in, it must be like a year and a half ago, I think. Anyway, apparently today it's their birthdays. And my God, wouldn't I know it, Beth woke me up this morning going, where are my birthday girls? And I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah, she meant the cats. So they're 2 today. They're completely underwhelmed about the fact of being 2, despite the fact Beth made them both sit down while we all sang happy birthday to them. She was like, Jamie, you're not singing. And the cats looked at us like, what the fuck are you doing? She bought them presents. They were also very underwhelmed with those, unless they were food related, when all of a sudden they seemed to take a new level of appeal. I mean, they're fucking bonkers, my cats, but it is fair to say they have calmed down a lot since we got them, and we were reminiscing on their birthday but when we first brought them back from the rescue. And I've had cats all my life. Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking has had cats all of his life. And as a cat owner, you get a little bit, I was definitely a little bit blasé. I was kind of like, yeah, we're going to, we'd had Sandwich a long time. We felt that we had the time and the capacity to take on 2 new cats. And, kittens are hard work. They're not like puppies. They're not like crazy newborn baby level of hard work. But kittens are hard work. But I've had a lot of kittens. I know the things you need to watch out for with kittens. I know how to look after kittens, or so I thought. Now, we should have been warned with these 2. So they came from a rescue. All of our cats have always been rescues. They came from a rescue. They said we were looking for a pair of ideally kittens, and they were about, I think, 4 months old when we got them. And they explained to us, that the people at the rescue, that the previous family had rehomed them. They'd actually brought them back, and we said, oh goodness, what happened? And they said, they found they were really allergic to them, which, fair enough. As somebody who is allergic to cats, I have great empathy with that. I live with my allergies because I love cats, so I kind of put up with it. But I do understand that if your allergies are horrendous, of course you can't coexist with cats. So we brought these kittens home, and I'm just saying now, no disrespect to whoever it was who homed these kittens and brought them back, they were not fucking allergic. If they were allergic, being allergic was not the primary reason they brought these 2 maniacs back to the rescue. They were probably like going back, waving the white flag of surrender and going, my God, no more, please, no more. And like I say, we've had cats all our lives. I have never had cats like these 2 cats. So I think that certainly ASAP and, obviously they're sisters, so I guess both of them, they definitely have some Bengal in them. And for those of you who are non-cat owners, let's say that Bengals, they're an oriental breed. They're the mad ones. They're like the mad aunt. They're the mad aunt of the cat family. They are absolutely batshit. And while Brexit, I think, perhaps has less Bengal tendencies, ASAP is off the scale. I mean, off the scale, ridiculously highly strung. So when we brought them back, and obviously you have to introduce cats gently into their new home, and we did all the right things. We kept them separate from Sandwich. ASAP basically responded by having the most vicious, foul-smelling liquid diarrhea, because, again, classic cat thing, they get stressed and they shit themselves, constantly. And I was like, okay, this is cool, we know how to deal with this is absolutely fine. I bought boiled chicken, my entire house smelt of fucking, when it didn't smell of cat shit, it smelled of boiled chicken, because that was all they were eating and things. And we had litter trays everywhere. We did everything right, and still these 2, I swear, there were definitely times I was like, they're actually trying to break me. I remember early on we kept them in one room. We kept them upstairs in a bedroom lots of clean litter trays, lots of nice safe places for them to go to the toilet, separate from their food. We were diligent cat owners, and they rewarded us by, I went in early one morning and see them. They were so pleased to see me. They were so happy to see me. And it was cold. It was first thing in the morning, so it was the spare room. I got into the bed, got under the duvet, and Asa came over. She's purring and purring. She's so happy to see me. She crouched over me under the duvet and squatted and pissed everywhere. I was like, thanks for that. They, as I said, they had trouble with their digestive systems is probably the best way to state it for those of you who are of a delicate disposition or perhaps eating while listening to this podcast. They definitely had trouble with their digestive systems. And there was one evening we were sat in the lounge, myself and Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking, watching TV. And we turned to one another and went, "Can you smell shit?" And the entire room absolutely stank, but there was no sign of any cats, and there was no sign of any poo. So we went on a hunt This is like throwback to my one previous podcast when I talked about potty training hell and the time that I lost one of Jamie's poos when he was potty training. This was like a throwback to this. So we're like going around the room. It absolutely reeks. Cat shit reeks. Cat diarrhea reeks even more. I'm like, where have they shat? Like, it smells fucking awful. Where the hell can they have gone to the toilet? And then I looked down behind the television. And I can only describe it as the dirtiest of all dirty protests. And what I believe must have happened based on the, shall we say, splatter radius, puke, hurl, etc., one of them, and I say one of them, but let's be honest, it was blatantly ASAP, must have decided, because who the fuck knows what goes on in her head, to basically squat seated on the top of our television, which is a flat screen television, so fair play. I like to poo in comfort. She clearly gives it. This is like extreme pooing. It's like doing that kind of base jumping thing while shitting, which, to be fair, if I was base jumping, I would definitely be shitting at the same time. And she had obviously decided to squat off the side of the television and had copious quantities of very, very liquid diarrhea down the back of my television. And if our TV is anything like your TV and it's connected to like skyboxes and DVD players, I mean, there's a fucking network of wires. I look like I'm running my own server back there. Yeah, she had basically shitted on top of every single one of those wires. So we spent a really, really fun evening whilst trying to breathe only through your mouth and not to gag, wiping up liquid kitten diarrhea from down the back of the television. And, everybody looks at the pictures and goes, "Oh, they're so cute." Yeah, try clearing that up. You'll have a very different view. But yeah, they were liabilities. They were the original fucking liabilities. And quite often, I think, with rescue cats, and particularly those who perhaps have been born in a bit of a feral environment, they have this insatiable appetite. It's like this fear that you won't feed them. I remember quite early on when we brought them downstairs, they were in the lounge with us, and I think Jamie had gone to prepare their food in the kitchen. And we said to them, right, we're going to get some food. Jamie's just going to get it, and then we're going to bring it in here, because we're feeding them separately to sandwich. And we're like, it's just coming. And we have double doors going into our lounge, which have a glass panel in the top. Both kittens, and I wish I'd got a photograph, Jamie went out. They could obviously sense blood. Like, they were literally like some kind of fucking great whites, like circling, waiting for their prey. They ran over to the door, smashed their bodies at the door. I'm like, you're not going to break down the door, you absolute lunatics. So then both of them literally jumped up onto the door and clung hanging from the wooden panels so that they could see through the windows to see where the fuck the food was. Why are you not feeding us fast enough? But they had insatiable appetites, and it didn't just extend to cat food. They would eat fucking anything. ASAP had, and still has, to be honest, she will still eat toast if she can get her claws on it. She had an insatiable appetite for baked goods, baked goods. And I remember one day being sat in the lounge, and I was sat there, and all of a sudden, past the double doors, there streaked this cat with this huge object in its mouth, which was like about 3 times the size of it. I was like, what the fuck she got? I ran out. She's got a fucking loaf of bread. She's jumped up on the side. She's got into the bread bin. She's pulled out an entire sliced loaf, and she's dragging it in her jaws, presumably to plan to go and eat it. I mean, at least that time wasn't a kind of a mortified in public time. The time they probably mortified us the most, and I wasn't here to witness this was Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking. He had a friend of his round, and his friend was sat on the sofa and had come round for coffee and had been to the bakery and had picked them both up a bun from the bakery, like a Belgian bun. Again, quite large, quite big, almost one would say kitten size, as in not size for a kitten to eat, the same fucking size as a kitten. And according to Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking's testimony, his friend was sat on the sofa, had picked up the bun, was literally holding it in his hand, about to put it in his mouth, and from nowhere, ASAP just suddenly shot across the room with her jaws, knocked the bun out of his grasp, grabbed it, and ran off into another room with it. And yeah, I mean, what the fuck? What cat does that? It's like living with fucking Mighty Mouse. It's ridiculous. We went through a phase of we couldn't have oven gloves at all because we had some plastic oven gloves, I suppose. So they were kind of like a soft plastic, like a Teflon type plastic thing. And they were great. They were brilliant oven gloves. Totally fucking pointless because she would get them off the side. She would stalk them. So she would kind of like push them around the house. She would stalk them as though they were birds. And then she would settle down with them, and like a dog would chew a chew toy, she would chew them. She chewed through the fucking end of every single finger in 3 separate pairs of oven gloves. I gave up. I just used tea towels. It's just easier. Absolutely ridiculous. But, you know, they've calmed down a lot. They have definitely calmed down a lot since the early days. And touch wood, nobody has shat down the television in recent weeks, which is a fucking blessing, to be honest. However, ASAP's latest trick, which I think I outlined on last week's podcast, her latest trick is she has learnt to scale the side of the house. And previously, the one window she couldn't manage to get through because there's literally nothing underneath it apart from a rose bush was our bedroom window. No, she's cracked that now. So she just rocks up in the middle of the night looking desperately pleased with herself, like, here I am, love me. She's like, why didn't you love me? So we've tried various things to get her to stay in and eventually have just, I suppose, just given in, which is absolutely, this is what you should not do as a parent. You should not give in to your children's bad behaviour. We've just given in. She's too much. So she's been coming in and actually she's settled down. She's been pretty good. And generally speaking, she'll go and find a quiet corner of the house and she'll curl up and go to sleep. Until Thursday night. So Thursday night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking was up and was walking around the room. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's 3 o'clock. Go to sleep. What are you doing? He's like, I think there's a cat stuck somewhere. I said, no, there isn't. Shush, come back to sleep. It's fine. Go back to bed. He's like, no, genuinely, I think there is. And then from underneath my bed, we've got a big oak bed. It's really heavy. It's solid wood. From underneath my bed, there was like this kind of this thumping and this running around, and then this kind of I won't say it was a plaintive meow because that suggests a cat that was troubled and wanted to get out. It was a very chirpy, chatty hi, here I am underneath your bed. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, we had to deal with the fact that ASAP had not only jumped in through our window, she'd then decided to go down the back of the bed and had promptly got herself stuck underneath the bed at 3 o'clock in the morning, necessitating a removal of cat underneath very heavy bed in the middle of the night. It's a fucking good job that we love them, isn't it? I mean, honestly, fucking liabilities right there. Floppy the dog has nothing on ASAP. Nothing on ASAP. Well, we've had a lovely start to the day. Beth had a match this morning. It was actually beautifully sunny. For once, I could feel my vagina while she was playing, so that's a bonus. When the temperatures are warm enough to feel all of your body parts, that's a definite win. She had a lovely game. She scored her first goal since she's been back as well, which was lovely. But you know what? All the girls, Beth's team won, but as always, the result never matters. And both teams looked like they were having an absolute ball out there. They're just lit up, and you just realise how much the pandemic took from I think particularly from our youngsters, how much it's taken from them, and how just fantastic it is to see them back and to see this. So this was a new team that's come into Beth's league. We haven't played them before, and it does feel like there's genuinely a bit of momentum in girls football, which is, I mean, goodness, so overdue. And I can't encourage anybody enough. If you've got a daughter and they're kind of thinking about whether she wants to play football, I can't encourage it enough. I think it is a fantastic sport. And goodness, there's loads of sports out there, right? It doesn't necessarily need to be football. They might love something else, but I think particularly seeing them in football, seeing more and more girls coming into the game, and not all of them are going to be brilliant, and not all of them are going to necessarily take it further, but just the sheer camaraderie, the joy they get of playing in the team. I mean, there was just sheer delight from beginning to end. And Beth and her best mate have come up with some ridiculous goal celebration, which is some kind of complex Mason-esque handshake, which takes 4 fucking ever in the middle of the game. I'm like, girls, they're trying to kick off. Could you like, you know, maybe finish this soon? But I think certainly for Beth, it's turned into such an important social outlet for her as well. And, you know, I remember, and I'm sure lots of you will as well, female friendships get really fucking tough at this kind of age, right? Really tough. And I think having another set of girls that she hangs out with, and just, you know, as I say, they beam from ear to ear. And yes, they won this morning, but actually they've had games where they've lost and they've still beamed from ear to ear throughout. It genuinely is, you know, that it's not the winning, it's the taking part. Now that's not always true, because sometimes in life you want to fucking win, okay? But actually in this, the sheer joy of them all together, it was genuinely wonderful to see. So yeah, if you've got a daughter, or, you know, someone who's thinking about getting into it, I can't encourage it enough. When Beth started, genuinely, she couldn't even kick a ball. I'm not exaggerating, she couldn't even kick a ball, but something about football called to her. And thanks to the brilliant coaches, the brilliant volunteers in grassroots sport, and now in the team that she now plays in, they are amazing, and she's come on leaps and bounds. But yeah, the joy it's brought her, and the joy it brings me as well, right? You know, I try not to be a pushy football mum, not least because if I say anything on the sidelines at all, Beth will look over and fix me with some kind of death glare. One of the mums was making me laugh this morning, because her daughter was playing brilliantly, and she was shouting in a joking kind of way. She was shouting to her daughter, "I love you, I love you." I said to Beth and Jamie, I said, "Oh, maybe I should start doing that at matches from now on." Jamie looked at me and went, "If you did that, I would actually cry." And he's probably not joking. I can't remember if I've ever mentioned on here the time. So that the children's school do something called a gold award, and it's a lovely idea. Basically, any teacher or any pupil, or indeed anybody from outside of the school, so parents or the lollipop person or anybody, can nominate a child for a gold award. And it's when they've done something really amazing, like above and beyond. And we'd had a period of time when Beth had been quite unwell. She'd been in hospital, and she'd been doing some lovely stuff for charity as well at the same time. And Jamie had been amazing when she'd been in hospital, like really amazing. I always think it's hard when you got a sibling who's unwell. So I thought I'm going to write into the school, and it's not something I'd usually do, but I thought they've both been so amazing, I'm going to write in and nominate them for a gold award. So I did. So Friday was the day that gold awards were given out, and I didn't, you know, I wrote in because I wanted the school to know, but there's no expectations, you know. I fully appreciate my heavy bias in the situation, so I wasn't necessarily expecting them to get it. Anyway, I picked them up on the Friday. They came out of school. Beth came out of school dancing. She was like, "I got a gold award," and I was like, "Did you? Who was that from?" And she was like, "It was from you," and she was literally loving life. Went round to collect Jamie. He went, "Why did you do that?" I said, "What?" He said, "You know, that gold award." And I said, "Well, you've done brilliantly. I thought you'd be really happy." He said, "Mum," he said, "I was so embarrassed that I cried." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, that, and he must have been in like year 5 at the time. So I do recognise in hindsight, that's probably at the age when maybe stuff like this gets a bit embarrassing. But he said, we're in assembly and the teacher said, "Somebody's mummy has written in to nominate them for a gold award," he said, "and then we had to stand up," he said, "and then we had to go on the stage to get our gold award," he said, "and I was so embarrassed that I was crying." I was like, "Oh God, poor son." I said, "I had the best of intentions." He looked at me, "Don't you ever do that again." So yeah, best of intentions don't always come off. So maybe I won't start shouting "I love you" from the sidelines just yet. I might threaten it though, if you know, if they annoy me. Well, next time I come to watch any of you do anything, I'll be there. "I love you." I threaten sometimes to Jamie when I drive him to school in the mornings. I'll be very deadpan. I'll be like, "So, really looking forward to coming and performing in your assembly today." And he's like, "What?" And he knows, 99% of him knows that I'm joking, but there's always that little part of him that knows that I am quite embarrassing. He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm coming to perform today in your assembly. I'm coming to sing a songs from the shows." He's like, No, you're not." And I'm like, "Yeah, and I've got a t-shirt that says, 'I'm Jamie's mum.'" And he's like, No, you haven't." And I'm like, "Yeah, it says, 'I'm Jamie's mum,' and then it's got a picture of your face, and then underneath, in case anybody isn't certain, you know, Jamie, this Jamie, in this form, that Jamie." "No, you're not." I'm like, "Well, you just don't know. Just keep you on your toes." Oh, it's the joy of being a mum, isn't it? The joy of threatening to embarrass them is brilliant. But I did feel genuinely bad about the gold award. Poor Jamie. I'm staying off social media this weekend, and it's a while since I've done that, but for anybody who hasn't seen it, there's a campaign which lots of sports people and sports bodies have been supporting, and while I'm not a sports person or from a sports body, I guess particularly with Beth's involvement in sport, I felt something really important to support. And it's a subject really close to my heart as well, right, because it's called Stop Online Abuse, and the internet brings together the good, the bad and the ugly, but when you get the ugly, the really ugly side, it's awful. It's fucking awful. And I won't even pretend to know or have experienced some of the things that I know, some of the high profile, sportsmen and women, but people from all different backgrounds and industries who for whatever reason have kind of, been catapulted into the public eye via the internet. And people can just be vile. And the thing is, it's a tiny minority, right? And I genuinely think it is. I think it's less than 1% of people are out there being vile, and 99% of people are lovely. But the trouble is, I know from my own experience that for all the lovely, brilliant, kind comments and feedback and lovely people on our little corner of the internet, it's not those that stick with you, and it is the one or two comments that, occasionally come through, and it's just people being vile for the sake of being vile. I have no problem with people disagreeing with my views online. In fact, I think it leads to some really healthy debate, and I think it's really good to have those conversations. But when somebody comes onto the blog or onto social media, and it's with a sole intention to attack, belittle, abuse, some of the racist abuse particularly, but any kind of derogatory or discriminatory behaviour is just, it's totally unacceptable. It's not acceptable day to day. So I find it unfathomable why people could think that it would in any way be acceptable in an online forum. I always remember, there's a couple that stick in my mind, and there was one, I wrote a post about being a Christian and talking about my faith, and I don't write posts about that particularly often, mainly because I don't write about anything particularly often. I like to hopefully vary what I write about. And there was this guy who just took offence is perhaps putting it lightly. He went mental. So I can't believe this bullshit, I can't believe you've done this. I thought you were great. I thought you were this. I thought you were that. And I think that's part of the problem, right? Is that particularly for lots of these celebrities and these sports players, people build up this perception of what they think they are and what they think they should be, and almost idolise people as well, to the point that, all of us are perfectly imperfect, right? None of us are infallible, and it's almost jumping on any sign of weakness, and it's awful. And there can be a real pack mentality as well. Somebody jumps on something and then it's followed by others and others, and yeah, I find it absolutely unfathomable. There is literally, people have nothing to lose by being kind. And that doesn't mean we should be a walkover. And that doesn't mean that we should kind of I think sometimes people confuse being kind with sort of being someone who kind of lets yourself be a walkover, and actually that can be very detrimental to you. But true, genuine kindness to others. I don't entirely buy the phrase, if you've got nothing nice to say, then say nothing at all, because I think sometimes it is important to challenge, but you can still challenge. I've had great debates with people online who've completely disagreed with my point of view, but have done so in a really respectful way, and I think we've both come away still not probably agreeing with one another, but feeling a degree of respect in which we've had the conversation. But some people, fucking hell, just don't be a dick. Stop online abuse is the hashtag, but, don't be a dick would be equally appropriate. Just like the man who, when Flapgate went mental back in the heady days, which is nearly 4 years ago now. Can you believe it's 4 years ago since my flaps were a viral sensation? Good times, life goals. And one man messaged me specifically to tell me, and he chose to do it in my direct messages, which I can't decide is, was he being polite by doing that and not putting it on the public thread, or was he just being fucking sinister? But either way, he was very keen to tell me exactly what he thought of my, and I quote, foul and fetid flaps. And I would have thought the one thing that should be obvious to anybody reading the original source story is that my flaps are neither foul nor fetid, because I was fucking cleaning them with original source shower gel, which is how the whole fucking madness started. But genuinely, if you can't be nice, if you can't not be a dick, then maybe shut your laptop down and go for a nice walk. Hey, it's probably what you need. Yeah. So yes, off social media this weekend. I instead went out for a walk earlier with Jamie. We went for a walk, not another one of of our epic walks, and I was like, yeah, it's just a little walk, and it ended up being nearly 10 miles. Oops. We were talking about GCSE options. I mean, how the fuck have I got a child old enough to be talking about GCSE options? I can remember thinking about my GCSE options. I mean, that's scary, isn't it, right? When your kids get to the same age as memorable ages that you can remember. I had a big debate with my parents in terms of the topics, and my mum was very insistent that I did music, which kind of made sense because I was studying piano and singing at the time, so there was a logic. I didn't really like music though, so I'm sure there was a few teenage battles went on around that, but you know, she was successful and I got an A in music, so you know, maybe she was right. I mean, I was fucking useless. There's one part of GCSE music where you have to listen to a piece of music and you have to identify the instruments that you can hear. I swear there is a part missing from my brain that enables me to identify the oboe. And I appreciate this is probably quite a niche skill set, but it literally became a standing joke. I mean, you'd think I would fucking learn, right? When they said, what's this instrument? If I had no idea, it was probably going to be an oboe, but it became a standing joke to the point that when I left and everybody signed my yearbook, one of my classmates from my music class wrote in there, Catherine, if in doubt, it's an oboe. I mean, it fucking was. I bet you anything now. I bet the reason I got an A and not an A star in music is probably because when I listened to that fucking piece of music and I wrote down it was like, I don't know, tambourine. It wasn't. It was probably a fucking oboe. It's like, yeah, it's like my kryptonite, fucking oboes. But yeah, it's bizarre that fact we're talking about GCSE options already. I mean, I'm sure like 30 seconds ago he was at nursery and biting people, and now he's like a walking, talking, grown-up adult. I love this stage of parenting. I genuinely do. I love the awkward questions. They're talking about everything and anything. I love the kind of like, you know, don't behave like a dick, let's talk about why that's not okay. Genuinely, this is so my time, and I'm trying really hard to make the most of it because I'm fairly certain in a year or so's time he will not be listening to a thing that I say, which to be fair is what Beth does now. So, you know, maybe I'm just relishing that I've got this with Jamie a little bit longer. Bless him, he's come out of school this week, and obviously he had Trousergate, didn't he, a few weeks ago when his trousers ripped. He came out this week on Friday. He's wearing his PE kit. I said, a bit keen, like, are you running home? Why are you in your PE kit? He said, oh yeah, there was an accident. I said, what happened? He said, well, he said, I got pranked. I said, oh no, what happened? He said, well, my mate, he said, he held out his yoghurt. He said, listen to this yoghurt. He said, it sounds really weird. I said, what do you do? He said, I listened to it. I said, oh no. And needless to say, his mate had squeezed yogurt all over him. So that's nice. And my car now stinks of slightly fetid dairy, which is always a good look. Always a good look. Great excitement this week. We've booked to go and stay in a hotel. I'm so excited. Booked to stay in a place where somebody other than me will make a meal that I'm going to eat. I literally cannot wait. I love a hotel. I am a massive hotel snob. I should be upfront about that. I am a massive hotel snob. What that means is we don't go away very often. We don't go abroad, but when we do go away, we do go to lovely hotels. And actually, this is going to make me sound like a bit of a wanker, but there is a cost efficiency. Actually, what we tend to do is the four of us tend to stay together in a suite. Now, if I had heard anybody saying, I've booked a suite in a nice hotel, I'd be like, fuck off. But it's actually usually cheaper. That's why we do it. That's the truth. And in theory, it should work perfectly, right? Because suites are big. So you have, you know, obviously double bed for myself and Mr. I know I need to stop talking. And then they put up two, like, not camp beds. Camp beds. Do you still get camp beds? I remember camp beds from when I was little. Like, literally a canvas piece of cloth on some like metal wires. Yeah, I think they've upgraded. Whatever the upgrade from a camp bed is, they put those up in hotel rooms. And yeah, so in theory the kids should sleep in there and all should be well. Needless to say, and I'm sure you know where this is going, I don't think Mr. I know I need to stop talking has ever slept in the main bed in any of the suites we stayed in with the kids, because pretty much every time Beth comes in, gets all excited, goes, this is my little bed here by the window, this will be fine. And then as it gets closer to bedtime goes, but I'm sure Dad would really like to sleep over there. I'm sure the boys would like to sleep together. And oh, this bed is really nice. And poor Mr. I know I need to stop talking. Gets chucked out onto the little camp bed, and Beth spread eagled in the big king size beds. It's you know standard. She the hotel we're going to stay in, and it's one we particularly like. It's I was going to try and explain to you where it is, but let's be honest, my geography, I'm going to be like it's somewhere in the British Isles, and that's probably about as close as I can get. But it does a particularly nice range of mocktails, so non-alcoholic cocktails, which the kids think are amazing. And Beth particularly loves one. It's called a Bleeding Heart, which sounds slightly disgusting, but does taste a lot nicer than the vampire-esque nature of its name suggests. So when we went into the first lockdown, and obviously we tend to go to this particular hotel probably once a year, and obviously it wasn't going to be happening last year. And Beth was like, oh, I'm really going to miss my bleeding heart. And I thought, well, I reckon I could probably work out how to make this. So I went on to the hotel website, found the mocktail, found the components, and managed to order them all at, great time, cost and expense, but got them all shipped to us here. And I dutifully mixed them all together. I was so proud of myself. I was like, oh my God, she's going to be so happy. I made her this drink, and it looked the same. I had a little taste. It tasted the same. I was like, Beth, look at this. And Beth's very suspicious. Very suspicious. What is it? I said, what do you think it is? She said, I don't know. And I said, what do you really love when we go to the hotel? She went, oh, is it bleeding heart? I said, yeah. She was like, thanks, Mummy. She took one sip. She said, and Beth does this a lot, I don't want to be rude. I was like, but what? She was like, yeah, it's not quite the same, is it? So, yeah, a substandard bleeding heart. What can I say? Jamie was also reminiscing earlier when we were out. He was laughing about the time that we'd stayed at a different hotel, which is up near London. And we, as a big treat for the children the next morning, we'd ordered breakfast as room service, which again makes me probably sound like a wanker, but it's usually as cheap as eating in the restaurant. And it comes in those very exciting, those big silver dome things. Are they cloches? Have I made that up? Is a cloche a thing? Well, whatever they're called, those big silver dome things. It comes under those big silver dome things, so it makes you feel like you're basically the Queen. Although I think the Queen eats her breakfast out of Tupperware. I think she's far more low key. But we phoned up that morning in this hotel to order the breakfast, and Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking was on the phone chatting to reception to put it through. And Beth was very keen to make sure she got some milk with her cereal, but she's quite, again, very suspicious. She knows that lots of places don't do blue milk, like is that full cream? Well, the blue milk, and lots of them do semi-skimmed or skimmed, which she doesn't like. So poor Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking's on the phone, and I was just in the bathroom, and all of a sudden I could just hear in the background, and he was like, and some cereal with some milk, please. And Beth starts screaming down the phone, fat milk! I want fat milk! Fat milk! And Jamie's on the floor laughing so much. He's like, what's she doing? The poor bloke on the other end of the line must have been like, what the fuck? Not coming to your room. Yeah, she does love her fat milk. That oh God, that was also the scene, that particular hotel. Again, we booked a suite. I know I sound like a wanker, but genuinely for four of us, it was probably cheaper. And it had a jacuzzi bath in the bathroom. I was very, very excited about this. I love a bath. And I particularly love a jacuzzi bath. So I was we got there and I was like, right, kids, husband, go and watch TV, whatever. I'm going to the bath. Well, the thing with jacuzzi baths, as I've now found out, is you really don't want to put bubble bath into them. And I just hadn't thought about this. And it was genuinely like one of those scenes where I put in some bubbles and then I'd gone to, like, I don't know, sort my hair out and get undressed. And then I came back in and there's just this like tidal wave of bubbles. And then the jacuzzi bath is obviously bubbling them up. So then I tried to turn the jacuzzi bath off and it was just about fine. Now, a sensible person, I think, at that point would have probably taken the plug out, but I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know what I thought was going to happen. Forgetting all of Archimedes' principles, I got in the bath. At which point, I got in the bath, I knocked the button for the jacuzzi bath starts bubbling. There's bubbles fucking everywhere. They're cascading down the side of the bath, the entire bathroom floor. I'm like, oh my God, it's going to go through the floor. I'm then in the bath and I then can't get out of the bath because it's a really deep bath. So I'm calling through to my husband and the children to help me. The kids come in. What have you done? I don't know. I can't stop the bubbles. Help, stop the bubbles. Anyway, as usual, Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking came in and sorted it out. And then we used about 20 towels to mop up the slip and slide I'd created on the marble bathroom floor. Yeah, I mean, I do love a nice hotel. I possibly shouldn't be allowed to go to nice hotels based on that debacle. But yeah, so that's coming out later this year. So we'll see if Beth manages to terrorise anyone with screams of fat milk down the phone. She is bonkers. I'm off to go and have a look at my celeriac. I bought a celeriac. I really wanted a celeriac, and one had never come with my vegetable box, but it's one of those things that now I've got it, I don't really know what to do with it. It's quite an intimidating vegetable, isn't it? I've had a look online, but if you have any good ideas and suggestions, feel free to add them in the comments to work out what I could do with my celeriac. That's going to be my project for the bank holiday weekend. along with finding what the fuck day the bins go out. I hope you have lovely, lovely weekends. I hope you get to do something lovely. I hope you get to see or speak with the people that you love. Have great weeks. I will speak with you all next week. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.